Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's mini class. My name is Bernard Alvarez, and we are going to be, today's program is called Whispers of Wellness, Unveiling the Secrets of Spiritual Healing. And I'm hoping that today's program, while we will not be able to go in depth on so many different types of healing modalities in this half hour or an hour, depending on how the show goes, but the reality of it is that I'm hoping that today I will introduce you to some of the spiritual secrets of spiritual healing. And again, for Facebook and YouTube, this is about spiritual healing. We will not be doing any medicinal advice or anything like that today. It just hit me when I was getting prepped for this. I'm like, I better let them know this has nothing to do with medical advice. This is strictly spiritual healing. Anyway, as many of you know, I've been a Reiki master now for 25 years. But prior to that, I was trained in shamanic healing as well as other forms of healing. Some of it was kind of intuitive. As well, I was taught some like folk remedies and folk modalities, I should say is a better word, not a remedy, a modality of healing. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start off with a passage from the Book of One, as I like to, because for me, spiritual healing is not only just a modality to be used to make your body feel better. It is about healing your soul. It is about healing your spirit. It is about healing your emotions, your traumas, your tragedies, your mental health, all of the above. Spiritual healing has the capability to do that. So let's see here. Do I have that thing that I can share this thing? So let me go ahead and just show the link for the Book of One. And this is on page 119 of the fourth edition. If those of you have the first three editions, it will not be in there. Only the fourth edition has the appendix. But this is called The Shadow. And I believe dealing with the shadow is very important to really complete the wholeness of what spiritual healing has to offer you. So this is a passage called The Shadow. You're not meant to repress negative emotion. It will cause an imbalance in your universal life force energy. To conquer your negative emotions, you must embrace them, move through them, and learn the lesson being presented for your growth. Do not fight or resist them, and they will lose their power over you. I love talking about the shadow self. We'll be doing more talks on that in the future, I am sure. But it is a part of the wholeness. It's a very holistic approach. Spiritual healing is very holistic. Okay, so let's get started. I've gone ahead and opened up the chat room. Let me see. I see Terry. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. I guess you're on YouTube. Thanks for being here today. I am glad you're here. Let me tell you a little bit of how I got involved in healing. For those of you that do know my background, my history, I was lucky enough to always be involved around metaphysical, occult, spiritual, witchy type things my whole life growing up in South Florida. We have a lot of Caribbean magic and stuff down there. As well, I had a lot of friends that were from, I guess, from this area that I'm in now, the Appalachian region. And I had learned a little bit about I don't know what to call it. If it's hands-on, I guess you could call it a hands-on healing type method. But that really triggered my interest in healing when I was, like I said, I was shown this one modality by for lack of a better term, a Southern friend of mine in North Miami, and I'm guessing she got it from her family, her grandmother or whatever. And she taught me how to do this one method. I think she did it on me because I had a toothache. And I was just blown away at the relief of pain that I immediately felt. It was like it was gone. It didn't last forever. Of course, I had to go to the dentist, but it did get rid of that toothache pain. And then I was seeing somebody who was a skateboarder. This is back in my younger days, who was on a half pike, and they ended up falling off the half pike. They twisted their ankle, and I was like, you know what? Let me try this method. Let me try this method. So, his family was like, yes, just do anything. His ankle was swelling up, and he was in a lot of pain. And I was like, okay. So I did the method, and I'm going to teach you the method at the end of the show, but I don't want to get into that yet. And I did the method, and he lay there for about 15, 20 minutes after I did the healing. And I think I walked into the kitchen to get something to drink, and the next thing I know, I walk out, and there he is back out front on that half pike again. And I ran out there, and I'm like, what are you doing? We just did the healing. He's like, no, it's better. Look. So the swelling had gone down, the pain had gone, and he was back on the skateboard, back on that half bike. So that really showed me the evidence that I needed to see. One of the ways that I approach all of this is through experience. Either it works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, I am not going to believe in this fluffy, fake, spiritual stuff unless I see it work, unless I have evidence. Any good magician, any good occultist is going to approach it as a science, and really like take notes on what works and what doesn't work. It's almost experimental to a fault sometimes. However, this worked, and I was hooked. I was like, I want to learn more about healing. Shortly after that, I got involved. I moved away from South Florida, and I got lucky enough, and I told the story many times, but I'll remind you, turned out that my landlord of the house I was renting was a shamanic practitioner. He was trained. I don't know if he was a real shaman, but he was Algonquin. And he taught me a lot about shamanic healing. And at that point, I'd already had my spiritual awakening. I already wrote the Book of One. And he introduced me to shamanic healing, as well as the books that I studied. My favorite book on shamanic healing, and I'll share it with you, is called The Way of the Shaman by Michael Harner. It's a great, great book. But having a real life teacher really helped a lot. And I got involved in that. And that's kind of what opened up the door to me to doing healing in the astral world, the spiritual world, where we go into our astral self, we perform the healing there, and of course it manifests here on the planet, on our 3.5D reality that we live in. After that, I moved back to Miami. I'm looking at my notes. Where was I? I moved back to Miami, and this one place was it was kind of hangout for all the witches, and I was already involved in witchcraft. I was already a high priest of a couple of covens, and they were having a Reiki night, and I was like, ooh, Reiki night, that sounds like fun. Unfortunately, I had gone to happy hour. Don't get Reiki done after you've gone to happy hour. I only had like 2 beers in me or something. It wasn't that bad. But my friend's like, yeah, let's go. I really want to do it. And I went in for my first ever Reiki circle. This was in Hollywood, Florida. I believe the name of the place was, I'm not going to remember it, so I'm not going to say it. I don't want to give credit to the wrong person, because I think that's another place I'm thinking of. Anyway, the reality of it is that we did the healing circle. We did the Reiki circle. And as I was receiving Reiki, wait, let me back up a little bit. they explained what Reiki was. They explained, how the energy kind of removes the imbalances and kind of gives you a body detox and all that. And while they were giving me the Reiki, I got so nauseous. I started sweating and all of that. And I had to run out the door, and I ended up regurgitating my happy hour. That was my evidence. Oh my God, this works. This really detoxed and took out all of the alcohol that was in my system, even though it wasn't much. And I got very, very excited about it. Shortly after that, I ended up working with the Unitarian Church down there, and we had a Reiki master that was giving the course to the core members for free. And I was very lucky enough to have a fantastic Reiki master, and I went through all the degrees with her and became a Reiki master. And as the years went by, I got more and more interested in energetic healing. You can call it pranic healing or whatever. I just like to call it energy healing. And for me, that kind of combined all of the above and combined the Appalachian methods that I was taught. It combined Reiki, combined shamanism. And I learned how almost intuitively how I could affect the physical body through the energy body or through the emotional body. And now when I do a Reiki treatment, I usually end it with, and when I say Reiki treatment, I say that loosely because I do incorporate a little bit of all the methods and modalities that I've learned, where now I will put symbols or thought forms into the astral body to kind of continue the healing, to help remove the imbalances or the blockages. I will create cords with their chakras to connect to the source consciousness to allow the chakras to be balanced and fed. And that goes to chakra balancing, and that's a whole nother show. I don't want to get too much into that, but I do incorporate that into my treatments that I do. What I like about incorporating shamanic healing with Reiki healing is it's very helpful for me, especially when I do clients online, to do the distance healing, because that's where I go into my spiritual form and do the healing on the spiritual realm. But I'll go into more depth in a few minutes. One of the things I love about spiritual healing is that now it is beginning to be recognized by some medical disciplines. You'll find in where I was hospitalized several months ago, or early this year with my tummy problems. They didn't offer me, but I could have asked for it. I asked them if they had it, if they do, what do they call it? Healing touch. So now hospitals are offering healing touch, which, come on, it's Reiki. We know what it is. So much of it is now being incorporated and at least being used in conjunction with some of the medical treatments that are out there, which I'm very, very grateful for. Legitimizing it has given us a great deal of, I don't want to say, I guess, clout and respect. So now we're taking a little bit more seriously. As a matter of fact, in the state of Florida, where I was a practicing Reiki master at a spa, they wanted us to get a massage license, which we fought it. And it was like, massage and Reiki are two totally different things, but they were trying to regulate it. What else is new? Make money off of it. But so it has really come up. It really has come of age. There is so much to learn, not only how to heal yourself, but to help your friends, your family, to start a practice if that's what you want to do. So I thought I'd share with you a little bit more about each of these modalities that I just mentioned, and see how maybe perhaps you can apply it to yourself, to your life, maybe take a course, maybe learn something, maybe practice on yourself, your friends, your animals. Animals love Reiki. I love that they love Reiki. Anyway, so let me start off with shamanic healing. So shamanic healing, is where the shamanic practitioner will go into an altered state of consciousness to have their spirit or their essence or their consciousness to leave their body and to help and assist the quote unquote patient or client or whatever you wish to call it to restore either parts of their soul, as I do with a shamanic soul retrieval. We will connect with the soul of the individual to remove any type of curses, whether it be in this lifetime or in past lifetimes. We have the ability to kind of call on your perhaps maybe your power animals or your healing spirits, your guardian spirits, your ancestors, whatever it is, to be a part of the process. I love that about shamanic healing. When I do a shamanic healing, specifically a shamanic healing, it is pretty involved ceremony and ritual. And I'm not talking about soul retrieval. I've kind of been able to do soul retrieval in a way where it turns into a 1 hour session or a 45-minute session. And it's like a ritual where I do go, I leave my body and I bring back those soul pieces and restore the wholeness of that one particular instance where the soul may have split. But with traditional shamanic healing, the shaman will go into an altered state of consciousness, go into the spirit realm, and bring the healing back and place it into the body. It's very similar to what I do with shamanic soul retrieval. However, this is a much more involved process. We are focusing more on restoring the spiritual balance of the individual that is seeking healing or help. And it can take on many different forms, many different methods, many different rituals, depending on the background and traditions that the shamanic practitioner might have been trained in. But I love it. I love it. It was the first thing I was ever trained in, and it really has stuck with me, and I've incorporated it into all of the work that I do now when it comes to healing. Again, check out Michael Harner's Way of the Shaman if you're interested in learning more. With that said, I will say if you're going to find a quote unquote IRL in real life teacher, please look them up. Make sure they're legitimate. Make sure they are using the term shamanic practitioner or shamanic healer. As a Native American, I find it very offensive when people who are not indigenous call themselves shaman, or if they're not a part of a tribe and they call themselves shaman. A lot of them are kind of shysters, so be aware of that. If they are honest with you, like me, I am not a recognized member of a tribe. I am Native American, but I'm not a member of any specific tribe. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to get all the paperwork done, but I consider the term shamanic practitioner to be the correct and honest and authentic way of approaching you and my clients and the people that I work with. I have not been trained by a tribe. I have been trained by a shaman, but I am not trained in that specific tradition. So I love it. I love shamanic tradition. I love shamanic healing. I think it's a wonderful method and modality. The next one I want to talk to you about is Reiki. Reiki has kind of lost its popularity. I think it's still fairly big. It was real big in the 90s and the early 2000s. I believe it's a tradition that will always be around. What I love about Reiki is that you're not necessarily using your energy. With shamanic healing, I have a tendency to, I'm the one doing the work and I'm the one bringing the healing back to the client. Whereas in Reiki, I'm merely a channel for the energy. Reiki healing deals with the Reiki practitioner being a channel for life force energy, for chi, for ki, for prana, whatever term you want to use. And all we're doing is we're directing it to specific parts of the body. We are only being the channel of allowing it uh, to move through us into the receiver's body. With Reiki, we're using universal life force. It is, to me, universal life force, chi. And actually, we can use the word magic in there because to me, magic is everywhere. It's everything. It's life force energy. Uh, it is its own, I don't want to say its own consciousness, but it is its own intelligence. It knows where it needs to go. I can scan a person's body before a Reiki treatment, and I can see and sense and with my hands where there might be any imbalances or any energy blockages. But and sometimes when I'm doing a treatment, I will hold my hands in a specific place a little bit longer because my intuition is guiding me and saying, you know, well, let's put a little bit of extra energy into this spot. Reiki works on the basis that we are perfectly balanced energetic beings, or we are meant to be perfectly balanced energetic beings. If you know anything about acupuncture, you already kind of know a little bit about the meridians and how the energy flows through our bodies. As well, if you know anything about martial arts, utilizing ki, I always use the example that the martial artist will channel all that chi and direct it into their punch or into their chop or into their kick. So they're channeling the chi energy, but for self-defense or warrior-like purposes. With Reiki, we're using that same exact energy, but we're using it in a gentle fashion and just directing it into the body to help restore that balance. Uh, One of the old cliches that we always hear about energy healing is the idea that uh, disease is dis-ease. There, it just means imbalance. Any disease means there's some kind of imbalance going on in the physical body. And of course, doing the energy work and the shamanic work I do, I also work on the physical body as well as the energy body, as well as the mental body, as well as the spiritual body. When it comes to doing Reiki treatments long distance, or for example, I get lots of requests for people to do a distance healing on a loved one who might be going into surgery or is having some kind of illness. I do not believe in giving healing to a stranger that doesn't know it's coming. What we were trained to do was to contact the higher self or the soul of that being, direct the energy to to the soul or the spirit of that being, of that person, and allowing the soul to decide whether it wants to accept it or not. Reiki is not going to cure you if you have um, actually, I should say Reiki is not going to cure you if it is in your way that it's time to leave the planet, or there's a specific karmic experience that you need to live through. Reiki will ease a transition. I've been asked to do Reiki on people who are terminal to help them ease their transition. That's something I love to do. I think it's very, very helpful to the spirit. Uh, but there are examples where Reiki has been done under an MRI, and you've seen, I believe the video was from like Japan or something, where multiple Reiki masters were doing Reiki on like a cancerous tumor, and in the MRI you can see it like dissolve. It's amazing. I've been a part of working with someone in conjunction who had hepatitis C, the terminal one or whatever, and working with his doctor. Our group was also doing Reiki with him, and he was cured 6 months later. Again, it was in conjunction with medical, so please take this with a grain of salt. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to energy and aura healing. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning, and there's something that I really love about getting into the energy body. Uh, In my practice and in my paradigm of spirit and body, spirit, and mind and whatnot, I see 5 layers of self. I see your physical self. I see your emotional self. I see your spiritual self. I see your astral self. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I see your physical, emotional, mental, astral, and then spiritual selves. They're like layers of our body. A lot of people who see auras, that's what they're seeing. When I'm dealing with a client, I can sense those bodies as well. For many people, I will need to incorporate doing some kind of energy work on their mental body or their emotional body. And sometimes I should probably take a sip of water. And sometimes my guides will instruct me to leave certain either Reiki symbols or Native American symbols or something that might be special to that particular client, to leave them and implant them within their energy bodies, your mental body, your emotional body, that kind of thing, to continue with the healing. I try to stick to just Shakure, which is kind of like the main Reiki, one of the main Reiki symbols. And of course, I use the one that keeps the healing going. I like to time when I'm doing distance and or real life. I like to time it where people can continue to receive Reiki as long as their body wants it or as long as their spirit needs it. And spirit says, okay, that's enough. One of the things about energy healing, about Reiki healing, especially Reiki and energy, I'll just leave it to those two, is that as a practitioner, you can overdose on it, for lack of a better term. That can lead to like aches and pains, tingling, strange sensations. As well with the client, especially if it's their first time, I will always let them know this is going to work on most of your energy bodies, if not all 5 of them. And it is a form of detox. So chances are you may end up crying for hours or just tearing up. I've had many clients come back to me and just say, I just can't stop tearing. I can't stop tearing. I'm like, just let it out. It's your body cleansing. It's your body cleansing. I've had clients come back to me and say that they found themselves angry. And I asked them, is there something that is there like some anger you've been holding within you? And they're like, yes, I've been so angry at my ex-husband and I just been trying to ignore it. I'm like, well, it's going to come out. It's got to rise to the surface so you can be cleansed of it. So this brings me to the secrets, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can call it the secrets of spiritual healing. Spiritual healing does not work if it's being done on you or if you're doing it on yourself and on the client or the receiver if they are not giving themselves permission to heal. There is something to be said about being in a good mindset when you are receiving healing, that you are open to it and everything that comes with it. Healing, spiritual healing, and most methods is being able to allow yourself to heal through the uncomfortable adjustments that may happen, through the pains, the aches, the strange thoughts, the weird dreams, the crying. Not all of it is going to be like, oh, I feel good and tingly. I see it as I don't know how many of you have ever gotten a facial, and I always use this analogy because I think it really, really does a great job of explaining it. You know how they say never get a facial on the day of the wedding or the day of the event? Why? Because a facial pulls up all the impurities, and then you up with little zits or pimples or whatnot. Energy healing will do the same thing. Not necessarily pimples, even though I'm sure some people have had it, but it draws all the impurities up to the surface, whether they're physical impurities that might be shown, that might manifest itself in sweating or vomiting or aches and pains or things like that. That's your energy body adjusting to rebalancing the energy that's moving through your physical body. When it comes to emotional, sometimes there's crying, sometimes there's anger. I've had clients that said they laughed uncontrollably for 3 hours because they didn't allow themselves to have fun. They were stuck in being serious all the time. So what happens? All that stuff that's been stuffed down comes up to the surface, and you start cracking up. You start crying. You start being angry. All the things that have been shoved down there. Um, when it comes to the spiritual aspects, I find that if we are not connected to our spiritual self, I don't see much. I have not seen in my experience much of a side effect. Sometimes, though, when you are trying to connect, you will find. I had a client tell me that they felt their third eye blow open, and that it felt like that someone was sticking a thumb on their forehead. And I related to that because that's exactly what happened to me. It felt like someone was just pushing on my third eye, and my intuition all of a sudden started to grow. The idea of spiritual healing is to allow universal life force energy to flow through you at its natural rhythm. It's to remove blockages. It's to restore balance to who we are. And unless we're aware of that, we might be surprised of how the stuff might manifest in our lives. So, as a practitioner, I say to you, prepare your client. As a patient or a client, I say to you, allow it. Allow whatever you're feeling to come up. Allow that ickiness and stuff to come out, and so you can just shake it off. One of the secrets I have found in all of the spiritual healing is that if we are ready to face it, if we are ready to be healed, and I know I said something similar to that just now, but I'm taking it a step further, we will see such an improvement, and it lasts. In the beginning, when I do a client, I'm like, yeah, please, come back once a month, and maybe once every 3 months, and then maybe once a year. I have a client that is down to like twice a year now, and her life has completely changed. It's amazing what happens. Um, but the secret is to not impose your will as a healer. It is not to impose your will as a recipient. It's really about trusting the universe. It's really about having faith and trust in your practitioner, and knowing that everything is to restore balance, and our limited perceptions of what we call good and bad may not be exactly what we experience. Balance sometimes means getting rid of people. Balance might mean getting rid of a job, getting rid of a home, or moving, or whatever it might be. It is all for the growth, the empowerment, and the evolution of our spiritual body, mental, emotional, astral, and physical body, in order to allow the healing to take place. Uh, one of the things that I like to say to people, especially those of I've had I've had clients that I can just tell they're resisting. I can just tell they're resisting, and with someone like that, I usually tell them, now you have to do the work. You have to do the work now that the healing's been done, whether it's the shamanic healing, whether it's the energy healing, the Reiki healing, that they have to do the work and allow it to happen and make room for it. If you are coming to me, great example. Great example. This is one of my favorite stories, analogies. This was a client I had back in 2002, maybe ish, and she was a friend, an acquaintance, a close acquaintance of mine, but she had never gotten a treatment from me. And she's like, yeah, I've had a lot of issues with my husband lately. We're not getting along, da 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 da, that kind of stuff. And she's like, I figured, what the heck? Let me give it a try. Let's see what happens. And I asked her, I always ask them, what are your expectations? She goes, oh, if anything, I think I'll just feel relaxed, because I put on the music and it's a dim room and whatnot. I was like, okay. And I go, what's the worst thing can happen? She goes, nothing will happen. That was the worst thing she expected. Well, I start my treatments at the head and I work my way down. By the time I got to her heart, she was crying in agony. And I mean painful, emotional, not painful body, painful emotional agony. And I asked her if she wanted me to stop. She asked me just to take a short break, and we continued to do the treatment. After the treatment, she went along her way or whatnot. About 2 weeks later, she came back and she said to me, "That was not what I expected." She goes, "But I felt it. It felt right." She goes, "I knew that our marriage was over." And it broke my heart because I knew the husband. I thought he was a great guy, but she had been stuffing all of this down. And because of the treatment, she was allowing all that stuff to come up. And she's doing great now. I still keep in touch with her. She's got her own business. She's been married again. She's got kids. She's moved on and, is living, I won't say happily ever after because life happens. But sometimes, things like that are going to happen. So anyway, let me say hi. I just noticed Mystic Healer on YouTube. Hello there from Netherlands. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Well, of course, I went over my half-hour mark. I knew I would. So let's I hope I've given you some food for thought, but I want to end with this Appalachian witchy healing technique that I was first taught, and this is what got me hooked. Okay. I became known in my neighborhood as a guy that could cure migraines because I use this on migraines, but you can use it on anything. But it has to do, okay, this is a method that was taught to me, like I said, from a woman from the Appalachian region, probably from her family, passed down to her. And it's for physical pain. It could be for a migraine. It could be for toothache. It could be for a sprained ankle. The secret, okay, I'm not going to say what the secret is because I'm sharing it with you now. Have your client either sit on a chair or you can do it on yourself. You can probably do it on yourself, and it'll probably be easier to have someone else do it on you. Have your client sit on a chair or lay down, whatever is more comfortable to them, and have them close their eyes, have them take in a few deep, relaxing deep breaths. And then this is going to sound counterintuitive, but what you're going to do is you're going to ask them to focus on the pain. Where is the pain? Let's use my friend's sprained ankle, for example. So I ask him to focus on the pain. And he's like, "Oh, it's here." And I'm like, "Well, draw it for me. Draw it. Where are you feeling the pain? Draw it for me." And I want them to create an outline of where that pain is. And then as they're tracing it, I'm like, trace the outline, trace the border. Where does it start? Where does it end? And I have them trace the border. And as they trace the border, the second time, I'm like, keep tracing it. And as they go around, then I begin to trace it. And then I begin to touch the border of it. And I ask them to stop, and I continue to trace it. And I ask them, "Okay, so is this the border of the pain? Is this the border of the pain?" And they'll be like, "Yes, this is exactly where I'm feeling it. That's where it begins. That's where it ends." And then I'll place my hands, both of them, on the affected area. And again, very counterintuitive, I will tell them, focus on the pain, focus on how bad it is, how horrible it feels, sense how it's throbbing, get them to really see and feel how much it's painful. Yes, again, counterintuitive, but it works. Have them focus on the pain, and as they focus on the pain, with my hands covering the specific area that is painful, I tell them I'm now going to erase it. I call this one erasing the pain. And then I go back to the border of the outline and I just begin to gently rub it with my fingers. Just gently, like you're erasing it with your fingertips. And I begin to just gently go around, erasing the pain until, and I'm like, do you feel the border dissolving? And they're like, yeah, 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 I feel the border dissolving. And then you go around the entire region until you've completed the entire outline and begin to sweep it out, sweep it out, sweep it out until there is no more border. And then I'll just like rub the area a little bit to kind of get the energy and the blood moving a little bit. And I'll ask them right away, is your pain gone? And 99.9% of the time, their pain will be gone. Again, erasing the pain. It's a great technique. It's the first technique I ever learned. And it really, really, like I said, in my experience, it works. I don't know how much it'll work for you. Give it a try on yourself. I used to do it on myself until I learned Reiki. Now I do Reiki on myself. But if you have like a specific pain, a joint pain or something like that, you can do that and just kind of just keep tracing it, let the pain intensify, and then just kind of rub it away and allow it to dissolve, the borders to dissolve, and just let the blood and the energy flow through that specific spot. Anyway, I love that technique. I hope you'll give it a try and let me know how it went. As well, I hope you've enjoyed our Whispers of Wellness presentation today. I hope I've given you some food for thought. Go ahead, please research everything I've said. Hopefully, you will get interested and maybe get attracted to a specific modality that you would like to start practicing, even if it's just on your friends, on your family, and on yourself. The world needs more healers, more spiritual healers. Be scientific about it. If they say it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Study your resources. Make sure you do background on anyone who might be performing healing on you. And by all means, I do not have an issue with using it in conjunction with medical treatment. Sometimes you got to have a tooth pulled. Sometimes you got to have your appendix taken out. It's not some things you just got to use, surgery for. My eye. Okay. That was a good example. Had to have eye surgery. There was nothing I could do about it. But I'd love to see more healers, and I'd love to see you all become healers and help me and help all of us who are already healers to heal the planet and to heal each other. With that being said, let me just say that for those of you who are my, what do I call it? Contributing supporters, I am having a coven meeting tonight. Yes, it is the full moon tonight. Yay. It's the beaver moon, everybody. The moon is in Gemini. It's about communication. It's about a little bit of what we talked about, doing the things that you don't want to do, but you just have to do it because you know it'll be okay. This is the time to work through all that stuff, learn to communicate a little bit better. Please, by all means, allow the moon energy to move through you and heal you, help you be a better communicator, help you tackle those tasks of either self-improvement or family dynamics or work dynamics that you've just been avoiding and haven't wanted to do. The energy of this moon is going to help you with that. With that being said, I am going to be teaching a class to the Star Mountain Grove tonight. So my contributing supporters, you will be seeing my class on how to work with the gods, specific gods, pantheons, and whatnot that I'm going to be teaching to them tonight. It is audio. I try to do it as a podcast. You can download it for my contributing supporters. If you're not a contributing supporter, please consider becoming a contributing supporter. It's been great. I've had several people sign up, and it's really helped me to raise a little bit extra money to get, my Canva subscription. Yeah, I need one. My Canva subscription. So I'm giving you a little bit of better graphics. I'm upgrading my sound. I'm upgrading a lot of the site and whatnot. So that's what that money goes for. So if you could please consider, if not, you are always welcome to just make a one-time donation or send stars on Facebook. I don't know if YouTube does that. I guess they do super chat or something. Anyway, I will see you all in a couple of weeks for our next Wisdom Unveiled. That will be my Q&A session. As well, in the coming month, of course, we have the winter solstice ceremony coming up. So have a great couple of weeks, everyone. I will see you in 2 weeks for our Q&A Wisdom Unveiled session. I love you all so very, very much. And I really do mean that. Thank you for being a part of my life, a part of my community. And thank you for supporting me, sharing my work, contributing to my work, and making this go on. God, what are we doing now? 17 years this has been going on. I love you guys. Have a great week. You take care now. Bye-bye.